Welcome, Figure Fiends, to a Hasbro Power Rangers Lightning Collection unboxing video. I'm the Final Boy, and tonight I'm going to be doing a review of the articulation, paint applications, and anything else that you might want to know about the Walgreens exclusive White Dino Thunder Power Ranger. I found this over at my local Walgreens, last one on the shelf, and I just had to get it. So, in just a couple seconds, join me over at the diorama, and we'll be looking at what he can do. Here's White Dino Thunder out of the package, and I'm going to be going over his accessories and his articulation, starting with the accessory of his unhelmeted head. And I gotta say that the likeness to the actor from my memories is spooky. Every time that I picture Trent from Dino Thunder, he looks exactly like this, just obviously with a body and not, but not really needing to go further into those gory details. I do want to also show underneath the head where the ball joint connects, because I'm not going to do it on camera because of how much it does kind of make me a little nervous, but because you kind of have to grab him by the soft plastic armor to remove the helmeted head to then put on the unhelmeted head, it does cause a little bit of stress because of not wanting to damage the armor. The armor is definitely not weak as a plastic by any means, but it is a softer plastic, and it is just something that I would like to recommend to be careful with whenever you're swapping heads on this figure. Definitely Hasbro did a good job of making it so you're not going to damage it without trying, but I just don't like to chance things personally. I'm very superstitious. But moving past that, I'm going to go now into showing off his sword. And his sword is cool because it's got two modes, not represented with this, but typically it's kind of in a smaller form and holstered on his little side pouch there. But we do, in this version, only get the long extended version. But that's cool because that's the version where he creates his signature light arrows, which the Lightning Collection always comes with at least one of these sort of soft plastic accessories for a special effect, and this has to be my favorite one so far, because in the show it's a very cool kind of attack that he does that just looks very flashy and it presents very well on the screen. And to be able to have recreated a version that can actually facilitate that for photography is amazing. And it's actually pretty easy to port it onto the sword. You just need to find the hole that it goes into, which it's a little tricky doing it this way, but as you can see, you just kind of can port it in there, and now it's not really gonna go anywhere except for at your enemies. So I wish I could do a little better of showing this off, and I will be in some pictures later, but that looks fantastic. I'm very pleased with that. And to kind of wrap things up on the accessories, you get a set of extra hands to kind of add to the poses and other things you can be doing with your White Dino Thunder Ranger. Very standard stuff. And speaking of pretty standard, the articulation for the Lightning Collection is top notch, honestly. But I do have to address again the armor. So the armor is great. They've got the raised line detail here. It's not just painted on, that's sculpted on, and it looks incredible. But the problem is sometimes you have to suffer for style. And because of the popped collar here on the back that goes all the way to the side as well, his articulation is pretty limited in the head area. Normally, because of the ball joint, we can get him to look up, but he really gets stopped by this. He can still look down and kind of side to side. Not too bad, but again, limited. And you definitely can, instead of tilting, get an actual side to side, but again, it's gonna rough up right on that side corner of the collar. So usually you can get them to go 360 like Linda Blair, but I really don't recommend it because of the collar. Another thing that it does hinder is the arms on all of the Lightning Collection so far have been able to go around 360 as well, but it's very awkward because once you get to this point, you have to follow the direction of the armor. You're not really going to be getting that out of the way. So cartwheels for this character are going to be a little difficult, but he has a very sweet butterfly joint that isn't hindered, so you can get the arm to move like that. He also has a bicep swivel, and then along with that, he has a single jointed elbow, which I have the darndest time with on this side, so I don't know why I'm showing it off here, but there we go. You can get it to a 90-degree angle, and his wrist will rotate 360 degrees, and for the most part, that should facilitate most things that you need to, well, want to do, really, with the figure. The armor actually doesn't impact the ab crunch too much, but I believe he can really only go about this far down and about this much back, which isn't great, but it's not too bad either. I think I've seen some Lightning Collection figures do a little better, but it definitely isn't the armor's fault. I just, it could definitely be operator error. I wouldn't rule that out. But he also has a chest swivel that allows him to kind of, position his body in all kinds of different ways that you would need for different poses. I will say I would have preferred it to be a waist swivel. I haven't seen any of them do that, however, but the chest swivel definitely, there's a lot of these full body side details that happen, or they might be actually on the midsection, and it gets broken up by the chest swivel more than it would be from the waist swivel. So that is one of my few nitpicks, I suppose, but overall, the paint application on the side details is fantastic, and that's really the only reason I have any gripes about it being broken up, is because it looks so cool. But back to the articulation, he can kick up about this far, and his backside really stops him from kicking back, but you don't really need too many poses of him kicking back either, I don't think. So for me, it's not really too much of a negative. He can do the splits, and along with that, he's got double jointed knees, like I find, again, most of the Lightning Collection pretty standard fare. And so he can actually get his leg to pretty much kick himself in the rear, which, again, I don't know if you're ever really going to need him bent that much necessarily, but you can get it to happen. And it's the kind of articulation that you really want from like a Spider-Man, and the fact that they were able to do that with the Power Rangers as well is just amazing. I can't say enough about how great that is. But to finish it off, we've got this boot cut here. And then Hasbro has a very patented ankle rocker. And you can move his foot down about that much, move it up about that much. And I do want to close off by saying that the White Dino Thunder out of the package, I actually didn't have to do much in the way of taking the blow dryer to him to make his joints loosen up to actually work with me. I have had Lightning Collection figures in the past, however. Mighty Morphin Pink, for example, her joints were very, very stiff out of the package. So I do recommend, especially with the ankles and smaller joints like that, take your time with them, work with them, and if they seem stiff, definitely don't feel like you can't just take a hairdryer to them, because that'll save you a lot of grief in the long run. And kind of to cap things off entirely, I kind of want to do a couple of figure comparisons for size. So first I want to start with the Funko Pop of Lord Zed. I thought it'd be kind of funny. He was down here in the studio, and I'm just going to kind of position it down a little more so you can see. Funko Pops all, for the most part, follow a 3.75 inch dimension for their height. So as you can see, because of the 6-inch nature of the Hasbro figures, he's definitely at that 6-inch mark. And I just thought it'd be kind of funny to see, you know, a super deformed Lord Zed next to a Power Ranger character. But for another Lightning Collection comparison, we're gonna do the Lord Draken from, I believe it was Wave 3. And feel free to correct me if I'm wrong down in the comments below. But he is being evil and not cooperating for standing purposes. But as you can see, the armor, I would say, is very comparable. And they're, you know, the scale has been fantastic with these figures, because a lot of Power Rangers could easily be, especially for people who don't watch the shows a lot, could be kind of easily mistaken for just kind of the same character. They have a lot of similar designs and stuff. And they've been able to, with the 6-inch scale for the Lightning Collection so far, get a decent variation on builds of the bodies, the heights, things like that. And so, you know, as similar as these two characters kind of are design-wise even, there's enough differences, I find, that, you know, it just, it works. So I'm going to set him aside, and I'm going to take Mini Lord Zed over here. And I just also want to compare to a 7-inch scaled Nika figure. So I have on hand my Freddy Krueger. And if you ever want to do, like I plan on doing down the road, kind of like Power Rangers crossed with horror, you can kind of see, historically, the Power Rangers have been younger characters, so either older teenagers, kind of college age. So the 6-inch scale versus 7-inch scale for Hasbro versus NECA isn't actually too much of an issue, I find. Freddy's not the tallest character, necessarily, but if he was a Michael or a Jason, I think the scale would actually work pretty well for these characters interacting. So I kind of just wanted to show that off as the top end of the scale, as it were. But anyway, so that's the review, and I thank you guys so much for tuning in. I intend on trying to have regular postings in the future instead of the sporadic nature of how things have been going. And thanks again so much for watching my videos. It means the world to me that you guys actually take the time to check these out. So thanks, and I really hope to bring you some more content soon.